Before we start the basic twine or the two-strand twine, we're just gonna use the stone to flatten out this three-way twine, three-way braid. To make sure the bottom is nice and flat. And I'm gonna do a basic twine for 3 rows up the side of this basket.
So I've done the three-strand braid and I've just completed that row, so now I'm starting to do the two-strand twining. I split these, so instead of being a solid piece like this, they're now forming 2, so I can twine up the basket. So it'll start at this point to start going straight. So we've got rid of that 3rd strand, we're not going to use that one now. I just need to get the first one of these, make sure I get the right one, and then start twining it.
Right now I'm manipulating the materials so that I have a 2-strand warp on these corners. You can see that I've woven around these 2, and we're going to have them laying right on top of each other, going up the side of the basket. And I'm going to do that again here. And we've tied these 2 together to show you that they're going to be woven together. Again, these 2 are coming together, weaving around both of them. And that's going to give us that nice round corner coming up the side of the basket. Just going to check and make sure I didn't drop any stitches before I get too far past this corner. Very good.
Okay, great. All a little.
Okay, you can see that this weaver is short, so I'm just gonna add like you normally would. I don't have to needle this one in. The tail on this end is nice and thin, whereas the rest of it is the perfect thickness for the weaving. So I'm gonna use this thinner end as the tail that gets woven in a couple times with the strand on the left, because I don't want to interfere with the consistency of the basket.
And then take this one and then do it one more time. And then when you do it, you pull at it and you see that it's not coming loose. So now you can put this one back there. You don't have to worry about it anymore because see, they're in there really tight.
As I'm weaving, I'm trying to keep a little pinch on the basket so that it holds that shape that I want it to have going up the side. And I'm making sure that when I'm pinching it, I'm pinching on that three-way twine, not this row that I'm weaving right now, because we want it to turn on that three-way braid.
I think the one thing is that making sure the pinching of that three-way twine is really established. It springs back at you, so you kind of want to exaggerate it. I think it's just a matter of just being a little more assertive to the material.
This row of basic twine is starting it's the very first row of the vertical
Warps.
Sorry. So as you can see, I'm now weaving counterclockwise, and that three-way braid is already peeking at us. And we're going to do this for 3 rows before we get to the very first row of our false embroidery with the secondary design. So I'm going to be adding a warp right now. As you can see, there's a couple of spaces here that are just a little bit too wide for the consistency of our stitches. And I'm just going to add a single warp. This is a very common thing to do on your baskets. So what you're going to want to do is just give yourself a little tail at the bottom. You might even want to sew it in if that helps keep it in place. And it's just going to fill that space, and we're going to weave around it. And on to the next warp. And as you can see, there's another space here. So I'm just going to demonstrate that one more time. I'm going to take our single warp, put it right in that space, holding it with my left hand. Now you can see those 2 warps have filled that space, and it has kept the compact twine nice and consistent. We've reached the end of our 3rd row of compact twine, and as you can see on the inside of the basket, all of these little additions need to be clipped away. They're all nice and snug in their place. They're not coming out. I'm just going to cut them off as close to the basket as possible, being very careful not to cut anything else. And now that we have this nice flat surface, we're going to put it back on the mold and just use the stone to make it nice and flat again. We really want to reiterate that turn of the corner. We're ulling the basket again so that our stitches are nice and compact. Our rows are nice and even. You can see here that there are these little gaps. That's what we're trying to fix while we all, just to make it nice and tight and compact. We're gonna show you the 3-strand twine, which is this row right here. It's another very important stitch in basketry, and we don't have any baskets that have this right now on hand, so I'm showing you on this beautiful hat. We've come to a place where we're gonna insert that third weft, and because this one's short, it works out that I can double it. I'm just going to hook it on that warp. So we have 1, 2, and 3. We're going to take both the middle and the right, cross them over the left, making our X. The left comes up and around the warp. Pull them all straight down and repeat. Middle and right go over the left. The left comes up behind the warp. Pull them straight. Middle and right over the left. Left comes up behind the warp. Pull them down. I'll do just a couple more so that we can actually see that stitch developing. And we've now locked that one in place, so I'm going to just tuck the tail behind as we go behind that warp. Give it a little tug in the back so that it doesn't peek at you anymore. And you can see now it's starting to develop that really nice 3-strand cord. And you're just going to do that all the way around.
So one of the difficulties I had yesterday was working with the material and talking with Holly. It became apparent that some of the preparation of the material during the harvesting and processing phase, perhaps I could have done it differently and better, and definitely the importance of processing your bark properly, I think, really makes a difference in the weaving stage. One of the things that I did incorrectly and that you can really pay attention to is how you feed the bark through the jerry stripper and making sure you follow the grain as much as possible.
So at this point I'm going over 2 and going under 2, and it's a different technique that Holly got me to do because I was struggling with getting my basket from the base to go up to the sides.
You do the same where you bring that one over, but then instead of going over just around 1, you go around 2 and then tighten it as you would. Don't pull too tight because you don't want to bring it in too much, but it's helping me get my sides to come straight up, and it's bringing it up in, and it also creates a nice little different design without using supplemental.
Last night I put it onto the base of my form and I let it dry, and now all of these are not kind of straight, so I feel like it's actually in a position now where it's doing what I want it to do. So